This could be our best theory. We may have found the plot of the third saga in Black Clover. Yami must be at least a noble or royal and perhaps even an illegitimate child of the king of Yami's homeland, the land of the rising sun. We prove this by showing you very important details in the manga that you may have overlooked, and by connecting all the points together, we show the true origin of Yami at the end of this video. All this is because Yami's past is still the biggest mystery in Black Clover, a peasant fisherman with an immense amount of mana from an unknown land, who was taught the royal military katana style and even the concept of ki. The question arises, who is this fisherman really? We will show you everything, the meaning of Yamis Katana, why Yami has so much mana, and how he ended up being a mere fisherman. Black Clover, new time skip, Yami's origin, here in Yunami. Also, only a small percentage of the people who watch our videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's totally free and you can always change your mind. Please enjoy the video, let's go! If you like this new timeskip video series, hit the like button so we know you want to see more of it. For the next part, the like goal is again 2000 likes. Let's start with what we already know. Yami Sukehiro is a foreigner from the Hino country, the so-called land of the rising sun, a distant land east of the Clover Kingdom. This country is inspired by Japan. We can see the connection to Japan in Yami himself, who for example is the only important character in Black Clover whose name is based on the Japanese language. In addition, the land of the rising sun has a very different language than the Clover Kingdom, and a unique style of sword known as the katana, which in turn is a Japanese style of sword. And of course also the very well known concept of ki, which in turn is a life force in the Japanese culture. So you can see Japanese culture is very close related to Yami's homeland, which we can also see in his general behavior, such as the festival clothing he wore at the Star Festival, which is very typical for Japan. You are probably thinking, why is this important? This is extremely important because Tabata does not try to keep everything in his manga a secret, but gives us a lot of clues so that we can find certain secrets. This is called foreshadowing. In the case of Yami, Tabata clearly shows that everything related to Yami follows a strictly Japanese concept, including the Japanese language, Japanese tradition, and even Japanese culture. So if we want to understand who Yami Sukehiro really is, we have to think very differently. But here's the thing, we actually know very little about Yami Sukehiro in general. The only thing that gives us any direction to his origins is Yami's katana, and oh boy, that's a huge clue if you dig a little bit deeper. Let's break it down. The very first time Yami introduced his katana to us was when he fought in the Eye of the Midnight Sun encounter arc against the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, Patri, back then known as Licht. Yami appears in the cave and saves Asta from Patri's attack by blocking it with his katana. Asta is amazed and wants to learn more about the sword. Yami explains that his sword is a weapon called katana from his homeland, the land of the rising sun. He continues with the sentence and then Yami was interrupted by Patri's attack and could not finish the sentence. This sentence would be so important to understand Yami's true past. He said he doesn't have time to explain right now and that it's a pain in the butt anyway. Although he did not finish the sentence, it still clearly shows that his katana is more than just simple culture, but has a personal connection to Yami himself. For example, the sentence could have gone on like, and that was a gift from my master, or my mother, or something else, something very important. We believe that the katana could be the key to why the story in Black Clover will take us to the land of the rising sun. But more about that a little later in this video. Keep watching, it gets crazier the further you watch. Now, many people say his katana is not that important because it broke when Veto attacked Yami and Yami simply replaced the sword. But taking a closer look, Yami only replaced the blade and not the handle. I mentioned the handle because I noticed something very interesting. In the chapter when Yami gave Asta his katana, we can see some kind of symbol on the katana handle. Now, many people may think that this is a type of screw that holds the katana blade in the place, called the meguki, which is used to attach the handle to the blade. But think about it, in a scene like this where the focus should be on Asta, why should Tabata give so much importance and detail to something as small as a screw? It just doesn't make any sense. And not only was this symbol shown in this scene, but it appears all over the manga when Yami was showing his katana. This was just the first time we have seen it in more detail. And here's the thing, a katana has something called a menuki, which is a decorative ornament and is used to hide the meguki. The meguki is what I call screw for the sake sake of simplicity. Many samurai use these decorative ornaments for symbolic meanings such as family crests. And I believe this symbol on Yamis Katana is such an ornament with a deeper meaning and not just an irrelevant screw. So what symbolic meaning could this ornament have? This symbol shares some similarities with the sun, which is the imperial seal of Japan and the crest of the emperor and member of the imperial family. Of course, Tabata cannot simply copy the imperial family crest of Japan and have someone like Yami represent the Japanese royal family. This will be very disrespectful in Japan. Therefore, it is possible that he has changed the symbol but is still trying to portray the reference to the rising sun as a symbol of Japan. Obviously, this is not a proof that Yami is an illegitimate child of the royal family, but it does give us the idea that there's more to it and that Yami has some deeper connection to the katana than what we have been shown so far. The real proof that Yami just can't be a normal peasant fisher lies in Yami's initial mana capacity. We know that mana potential in the world of Black Clover is based on social status, which is most likely due to the origin of mana itself. There has to be some kind of connection between royals and why they have more mana than other social classes. By the way, if you would like us to make a video on this subject, the origin of mana in relation to royals, hit the like button. The goal is as always 2000 likes to show us your interest in this topic. And if you don't want to miss this upcoming video and you like our content, subscribe with the notification bell activated, otherwise YouTube will not notify you. Let's continue. So your mana capacity is related to your social status. And in one of the Black Clover chapters, Yami explained this concept very clearly. At the very bottom we see Asta without mana, then peasants like Magna, then commoners like Sol, and then nobles like Yami, who is almost on a par with royals such as Nozel. I mean, come on, this is a list that literally shows people in their social classes. And Yami is literally listed between royals and nobles. How much more obvious could Tabata gives us this foreshadowing? It just can't be an exception for a fisherman peasant like Yami, which means that one of his parents is most likely a peasant, to have so much mana that he is almost listed as a royal in terms of magic power. This is only possible if the other part of his parents balances out all this low mana capacity that Yami inherited from his peasant side, so that in the end Yami still has almost as much mana as the royals from the Clover Kingdom. When Yuno revealed to be a prince, Nozel said this explains why he has so much mana. So logically it opens the possibility that Yami also might be related to royals in some way. The only way to explain this is that Yami's father is a complete beast in terms of mana capacity. Yami, just like Luck, must be the child of someone of very high social status. And that is by far not everything. There's a lot more evidence. Yami was taught the samurai art of using a katana sword, something that a simple fisherman's son in Japan couldn't know. And most importantly, a simple fisherman cannot own a katana, which is the samurai's weapon. Not only that, Yami knows even the art of ki. He was literally capable of beating up a group of bandits all by himself, without even using magic. This clearly shows that Yami is hiding something about his past. Somebody obviously taught Yami all of this. I will now hand the mic to my partner who will explain this to you in detail. And trust me, it will be very crazy from now on. Have fun.
To understand more about Yami and his katana, we need to understand who was allowed to wield the katana in early Japan. A very specific type of warrior is always associated with the katana, the samurai. But who are the samurai? Let me just show you very quickly how samurais are connected to royals. But don't be confused. At first, it will appear like there is only an individual military connection to the royal family. But just keep watching. I will show you crystal clear historical evidence of how Yami Sukihiro could be the son of an emperor. The term samurai was originally used to refer the aristocratic warriors who were hereditary military nobility in early Japan. Samurais have high prestige and special privileges, such as carrying two swords, which is an indication that Yami could have a second sword in his homeland, the land of the rising sun, as Asta may keep Yami's sword. This would be very interesting. By the way, since we would see Yami fighting without a sword for the first time, definitely very interesting to see what spells Yami can use with only his bare hands. But let's just keep focusing on the important part, the original term of samurai. The so-called Subaru means those who are close to nobility. It seems at first the samurai were just employees of the royal families. But if we take a closer look at the history of early Japan, we see that the samurai samurai were a classic case of military taking control of a country by force. So let's talk briefly about the history of the samurai, and then you will quickly see the possible plot in Black Clover, which is related to the land of the rising sun and of course of Yami's origins. We will quickly see why Yami could actually be a noble or even a royal. Always remember, Tabata has given us very clear indications that the focus is on Japanese history, culture and tradition. At some point, the early Japanese government imposed heavy taxes, which resulted in many farmers becoming landless. During this time, some samurai clans were originally founded by farmers who took up arms to protect themselves and their lands. This is how the weapon Tachi, the predecessor of the katana sword, the weapon of the samurai, was invented. Over time, the samurais gained power and were considered the warrior class of early Japan. In the rise of the samurai, the emperor and royals employed these noble warriors. This was the first time the samurai came into close contact with the royals of early Japan. Eventually, with the increasing military and economic power of the samurai, they became a new force in politics. The sons of the samurai clans inherited their leadership positions and continued to rule the clans, so the samurai leaders always maintained close ties to the Japanese royalty. As the power of these regional clans grew, three ruling samurai clans emerged: the Fujiwara clan, the Minamoto clan, and the Taira clan. Two of these three clans had a strong rivalry, which led to a war between the Minamoto clan and the Taira clan. The Taira clan emerged victorious, and the leader became the imperial advisor who became the first warrior to achieve such a position. He eventually took control of the central government, founded the first samurai-dominated government, and demoted the emperor to a mere figurehead, with the two control being carried out internally with the samurai ruling class. Although the Taira clan was in control and focused on strengthening its military, the Minamoto clan saw another way to increase power. They let their wives marry emperors and thus exercise the control through the emperor. Here we can see that the Minamoto samurai clan began to gain power by forcibly marrying their wives to the emperors. After a second war between the two clans, the Minamoto clan, which was victorious this time, was able to gain total superiority of the samurai over the royal families, which was only possible with the help of the forced marriage into the royal families. You see, there is literally a very strong connection in Japanese history related to the katana sword and therefore the samurai, which can explain why a fisherman like Yami has so much mana. Everything just fits together perfectly. The way Tabata shows the importance of Japanese culture in relation to the actual historical events in early Japan makes a direct connection to Yami's katana and the possible reason why Yami has so much mana despite being just a fisherman. To summarize everything briefly, the katana was the weapon of the samurai, who emerged from farmers and fishermen to protect their lands. Over time, one of the samurai clans gained so much power that they forced their female clan members to marry the royal families in order to gain royal control. These clan women were all just farmers and fishermen. Yami could be one such child of a woman from a samurai clan who was forcibly married into the royal family of the land of the rising sun. This explains Yami's immense mana and his connection to the katana and therefore to the art of the samurai. Why Yami grew up as a fisherman and who exactly taught Yami the samurai art and gave him his katana is a mystery that Tabata has yet to explain. But it is most likely related to the historical samurai military push in early Japan. So one of the future Black Clover arcs will most likely have something to do with the land of the rising sun and the origin of Yami. Perhaps the conflict between the samurai clans, or perhaps even a larger war between other countries competing with the land of the rising sun for the control of the continent from which Yami originated. A good example is the conflict between early China, Japan and Korea. Of course, all of this is just based on references. What do you think of this video? Do you think Yami is the son of a royal of the land of the rising sun based on the historical story of the samurai? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please leave a like, and don't forget, if you want to see another one of a Timeskip series, you will have to reach the 2000 likes goal, and then we'll publish another interesting video of this series. And that's it for today folks, and hope you guys enjoyed our video. And if you did, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you're new to our channel, make sure you subscribe with the notification bells turned on. See you guys in the next video. Yami out.